The steam rises and the waves wave moves. I hope it is the same for your brain waves too. Get into the good mood like you got the nice life vibe. I'm OT grinding on the time for the night, nah, no bragging. But we finna go magic, just like ta-da. Midnight rain, hit a pinnacle, header. You innocent when the land of the mad header. We can fight a wagon or just whatever, as long as you never say never, never, ever, 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 ever. In a world of day, we need dawn to share the new light. Sell the moonlight in a place of pride. Sell the moonlight, where we can see. Sell the moonlight in a world of day, we need dawn to share the new light. Sell the moonlight in a place of pride. Now, keep it up his window over Jane. Many more, say that, hey, keep it up as we do. Move my jam, put it many more, say that, suck it, 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 suck it,
Welcome, it's podcast PMB. We've got our guest here, many more, and I've got my host here, Big Z. So, Lentosa many more has like 3 members, as you can see. So we've got Lindani and we've got Headship. Headship, what is your name?
The mystery layer. I'm gonna move like a ninja. It's one of the many urban myths.
Because that's one of my questions during the episode. I was gonna ask that because I've known this guy ever since. But it's fine. And then we've got Andile as a member of many more. So welcome to podcast PMB. Yeah, we're live at Scottville, and yeah.
Yeah, Pillay the last like Scottville thing about fetty like many more. Amajita la ngazi ngachaza ngithini because mina it's the first time ngihlangana another 2 members. Engimaziyo uye lo mfethu lo lapha nendawo. Njengoba naye seshilo ukuthi Mr. Mystery Man.
Just throw me under the bus. Thank you, road kid.
So yeah, sijabulile ukuba la kanye nabafowethu. They welcomed us e-office labo. As you can see. We came here to conversate. This is not an interview. There's no prep, but we're here just to have a conversation.
As a machita, mingling with other creatives.
And I want to know the ambitions about the PMB and the entertainment space, where they want to take it. And yes, they just killed another performance. Took it back to the days a bit. But then, that's all we want to know. That's all of the stuff we want to know. So by that day, YouTube introduce themselves. How did they come up to being what they call minimal? Guys, don't you guys get offended with my post?
No, that was on purpose. We are in every show.
Because it's going to terms of economy. They want to go see me.
I'm Kumbulo MF Doom. How it send out my Doom bots. It's
the same mindset.
Yo, but I love the guys. I love the names. Very different, but very obvious.
Okay.
Very obvious. So, without further ado, I'm asking Nakala Mubani.
Over to you, Andy.
We've been doing this for about 7-8 years now. But it began with, I was doing music, and a friend of mine who was close to a style, introduced me to this young gentleman I didn't know, but was doing rap at the time. And
Mr.
Man. Mr. Man now.
I like this.
But we met again after being introduced, and said, my name is Headship, and he's doing a project, and he's looking for a new kind of sound for his project.
At that time when music, what were you doing, like?
At the time,
specifically,
I was actually finding my feet musically. I was mostly into poetry. I was in the poetry scene, doing music in the poetry scene in Nakona, but like here and
with
there,
your instrument,
with my instrument. I was doing guitar, and learning also at the music school at the same time. Then some things happened with the music school, and the program was taken out shadow. And but we said, initially with Headship it was supposed to be one song. Because it was just, going for that new sound. And then from there, another song came, another song.
Then color with the first session, and men connected.
And then from there, I met with Lee through Headship, and they were also close friends at the time. And then that's when we discovered new things, even about Lee had guitar skills and at the time he was trying to get into bass, but we didn't have a bass at the time. What we had access to was acoustic guitars, so that's what we worked on. We worked on what we had, and a lot came out.
Like from the very beginning, a guitar, is it like self-taught, you went to school for it?
No, personally, I went to school for it. Like, I tried doing the self-taught thing, I couldn't concentrate. But like when I got a teacher, somebody who was patient to sit and show me Babnigati. Shout out to Babnigati. He was the one who ran the program for students.
Was it the program
Msundo's music school? Not that one. That one is came after Msundo's music school. And
they took me out No, but I wanted to learn some cartel in the rap, and I want to learn every other skin, I was playing game, I won't get practice, but that's all as and then the teacher came. And you picked me out, and this thing was banjo, and I had to find out I'm left-handed.
Oh my gosh!
I don't tell you to get another guitar. Go back to my pen. Yeah, but we have like one of the greatest left-handed guitarists in Compton.
Sure.
Is it true that nigga can play 12 line?
12 string.
Yeah, 12 string.
Yeah, 12 string.
At once.
Yeah, it's basically like an octave. What can I say? It's like all of the notes are the same. It's just doubling up on the notes, on the notes. And but it's not easy. I'm not saying it's easy. I'm just saying that.
Because when I thought I was so corner, he did it. I was like, yo.
That's interesting.
What happened to the program? Did they close down or it's still like running?
Well, right now it's not running. I'm not sure what Nigat's plan now is. You know, COVID hit, lots of things have happened, things have changed. I haven't seen.
They just released a song.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
He personally is still doing music and is still pushing musicians. And,
Okay. Man. It's all about when he just released an album. What music Baba was that? Like, he's a father.
He's a jazz artist actually. He's
Mr. Man is on that song, by the way.
I so we couldn't learn he still wanted to learn how to play bass.
Yeah.
So with the guitar, what I want to know, can't you what type of guitar you play? No matter once or once with the strings, you can play any type of guitar.
Well, for guitar, like there's two. For me, there are two basic differences on major like mainstream guitars. Because there are things like ukuleles and other kinds of stringed instruments that are played like a guitar. But the two mainstream stuff is like bass guitar and just your either electric or acoustic guitar. Electric and acoustic is basically the same tones, same sounds, and you know it's played the same way. You hold it the same way. It's just a matter of the electric is flat because the electricity carries the sound, and acoustic is just a little bit thicker because the sound reverberates in the actual instrument itself when you push it out. So those are the major differences. And then bass, most of the time is electric because they're trying to get the sound as loud as possible. And the bass has a very subtle tone. You have to listen in if it's live a lot of the time. But you can get an acoustic bass as well. It can have a more popping sound. But generally it's tone is subtle but very powerful. Is one of the rhythm keepers of and yeah.
But you are still going on with your story.
So a person like myself, I'm old man, so
You said that twice.
Let's say at this age, okay, I wanted to learn how to play guitar, can be acoustic. Is it still possible? It's too late. And then you grow up.
One of the nice things about music is you can learn at any age. Actually, it helps to learn something new as you get older. Music helps you learn new things and connect new parts of your brain and new parts of your system. Even the thinking changes.
Because I go below than because it needs more dedication.
The technicalities you just mentioned.
But I mean, I get to so good feeling most of the time. I mean, you want to maybe find Ingomwitanda and then learn to play that and get comfortable with just you and guitar having a relationship. So it's like I don't think it's hard. Like okay, science says.
Yeah.
Well, Simon says. Science says it gets harder for us to learn things as we grow. But I mean, passion is proven. As long as someone wants to, just dedicate yourself to it, and you'll be fine. I mean.
Also, there's something you need to know how to sing in order to be able to play guitar. No, is it a lie? Because that's in there. I have been into the guitar, just hanging on my wall. I'm not longer using it, trying it out. Because someone said,
wow, Simon!
What's the champion use the chimney? When you browsing those YouTube how-to videos, and then they're gonna say how to learn to play guitar, and then buzzword. Hey, now we are born to that. Is that you are not used to this? When you're born, I think that was my biggest discouragement. So if it's a lie, maybe I still can learn.
Yeah, maybe you still can.
I mean, like, for example, like when I started, I was considered old. I was like 21. And people were saying, okay, you still a little bit. I'm like, no, I want to play this. I haven't had a chance to play this. And this is my chance. If I need to use my chance. Because if I wait longer, I say no, but I love this thing. I've been asking for this particular instrument for the longest time. And that was my chance to actually do it. So, like Headship says, it's about what your passion is. Musicality is in the ear, not in the mouth or the eyes.
Yeah, it's the ear.
It's in the ear. So that's even where you learn to sing is from listening. So if you hear the difference between what's good and what's bad, or what happens when your voice goes like that or your note goes like that, your ability to create that sound is there. It's just working on it. In the hands will also follow slowly. What you're trying to gain that muscle memory.
So that's how far you've taken your journey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's fine. You can just go to Headship. Oh,
Mr. Man.
Yeah, Mr. Man.
Official new name. No, I mean, where can I start? Oh my gosh, yeah, man. I guess I was born here in Pietermaritzburg, like the clinic even, but I was raised in Durban. And 2007, I think I came back to live here, because this is the maternal family, yeah. So Komalum. I was finishing up in high school. I had 2 more grades to go, and Usai Fong from Guerrilla Tactics was a guy who was around him. So even when I used to visit, in fact the year before, the December before I lived in Pietermaritzburg, I was here for December, and this guy Form was sharing music, like copyright stuff I've never heard before, because I was in boarding school, so I didn't have access to, there weren't a lot of hip hop heads at all. So I found hip hop when I got here, funny enough, like as in a culture, more than me living it. I was usually in spaces where there's one or other person, but here I found a community. And knowing Usai Fong, he knew Samurai, Fudge. This is still 2007. Like I'm doing this in 2007. I'm arriving. I'm meeting these people, and we got to hang out. nje namajita, I think first of all we got to rap and then hang out. Yeah, because collectively yes.
That's
We're not doing so yeah,
he's a hard hitter. Okay.
Jay, and we get, it's funny, you know, I'd already heard before I met people. There's very few people I've known their names before I met them. Yeah, and because, you know, even that idea was new to me. Ukuhlangana no Fudge, no Samurai, like knowing their names before I met them. For me, it wasn't even a big deal. It's like, oh no, this is normal, you know. People tell you about people's names before you meet them. Yeah, no, so I think he found Untladla Samurai was the founder. I think along with Amandla, his sister, R.I.P. Yeah, because all those people have passed away. Like even the younger sister, Ayanda, is gone. But yeah, you know, with those relationships, with them as a family, because their parents were in exile. And you know, they came through finally, eventually. I'm not even sure when, because so it was a nationwide thing. It was huge, and this is why I love this era where we can record these conversations and this information, because we really don't know how big art in Maritzburg is, or how big the culture is.
And some people don't even know there's such stories.
It's okay.
There's such people.
We've affected SA hip hop. I mean, at least in the underground space. You know, in waves like Durban. Like we had an influence and an impact in that space as well. Yeah. I mean, because there was Ukeri there. And just it was a lot of people, but my relationship with them started ngathini. One afternoon coming out to Scare, Fridays was ciphers. Yeah, well, because funny enough, even those ciphers, hey, thought but it's not what stand. It wasn't my choice of school. Yeah, well, it was like because of a situation. I was here and I was just in a situation within a situation, and I had to live that out as an experience. But Haythorn as a school, it was culture-wise, it was colored in black people, well, all black people actually, but you know, like those differences which is Pumapi were pretty loud. So but you can navigate, because abantu babezwana, at least when it came to Amachita and, you know, little groups, because Maritzburg has these bubbles of people. Every time there's just a bubble.
It's like
Popular kids table.
How true is it true to Samurai battle program those days?
Yes,
because there's always been that.
My urban myths. This is the first time I'm hearing this urban myth.
I think the movement was very huge, because those guys, I was still in high school, but Ikamana Samurai, I was still in high school, Naming Sa, rap, and it was given Samurai. We didn't know what it's that there's a whole movement that is out there, like Pietermaritzburg, we're still stuck in the hood.
Yeah, they were the first people the first major hip hop show. They filled, I think, I don't know what the venue was, but they had like 5,000 people. Yeah, well,
that's a lot.
That is that's why I'm saying Sam is at Jigga and Dame Dash level for me. That
So that explains the Liquid KZN movement, knowing or summarize.
Of course.
Like all alligators. I
yeah.
think they came this side to
Yeah.
do stuff.
I mean, Lentoza, Moonchild. That was first time I met Moonchild.
The Moonchild.
Yeah. Oh.
It's a boss.
We are the capital, man. We are the capital. People come through. She was performing at the city hall. Yeah, but I think that was even after. Oh, even better. Black Moss, and who's this? Ewok. Yeah, was in a cipher with the Black Moss because of knowing guerrilla tactics. I don't know how they got. They had this Red Bull truck. They did pop-up hip-hop shows. Ganjal. I think that one was held at Alexandra Park. Yeah. I'm not sure.
In
He's
South
in
Korea,
South
bro.
Korea, doing his
Hey,
Oh, yeah?
good dog.
Nah.
Yo.
Kabanga.
He got out the American in South Korea.
Formed a crew.
They formed a crew and they make Disney music.
So yeah, like those kind of people I got to meet up with because of influence guerrilla tactics and how big those guys were. And even then I was just a guy hanging around because it's not easy to get in, apparently. I was just a guy who was in love with rap. I think imali yokugibela, I wouldn't take a taxi back to town. Even I'd walk back because I knew I'd have to spend time. So yeah, showcase. So we'd even walk back to Mbali sometimes because Sam was like in town, so we'd sleep over. Yeah.
That's why you always see
nje yabo, so sasuka khona sihambe ngePressberry sehloko Ash nje sidouble sizofike elentuze eMbali too. Like lapho drop off one by one. Imini wokugcina.
Even banning CDs, we used to love.
Yeah.
just to make one song.
Oh, record that.
I remember, I forgot who it was on Facebook. He wrote something about walking from Ashdown to Woodlands.
You. Oh my gosh. Oh, yo. Oh, motherfucker. So so and even that, like we can look back at an era now. An era of culture and experiencing that culture.
It's such a small city.
Maritzburg is small, like geographically, but in terms of impact, it's very loud.
So that time, Moonchild, what music was she doing?
Oh my gosh, why Koge Ibai Mjita? She went on stage at Koge Ibai. She sat down. What? She wasn't twerking at that time. Oh yeah, Gonjagi, you know her as a poet. Showcase. Artists are artists. To box them in is a crime. So yeah, and the place was loud. Everybody was talking in their own space. She just sat down, kanje, and then started chanting about this melody. She chanted it like she went on once, she went on twice, and then the whole place started going quiet. I was like, as soon as everybody was paying attention, I was like, this lady is incredible. I didn't even know you could do that.
Look where she is now.
No, she's been brilliant from back then. In terms of skill.
Yeah, better than talent.
Yeah. So in terms of you know, living through that era. I think when Samurai passed on as well. Oh yeah, it was MK. I cannot not say MK, because when he heard me rapping, he's the one guy who pulled me to the side and was like, yo, you got something there, you know. You can work on A, B, and C, or you need to work on. And I was like, okay, I didn't even know you could ask questions in hip hop like that. He's the first one who put me onto hip hop as information, like the skill of hip hop being information that can be transferred. I was like, okay, that's amazing, because also in terms of what I listen to and how I listen, that impacted me a lot. And he's the one who kind of advocated for me to be a part of GT as well. As a mentor, I believe we can call him that, because of the role he played in sharing information, being kind enough, sure. Then I think when Samurai passed on, it was a bit hard for everyone because life just took on a whole other thing, and wonke umuntu wayeseqedile ngesikere, because this is like 2 years later from when I arrived. It was like Fudge was in Joburg, Banbani, but yeah, mina I used to call because umchitecto Slwane as well. Crazy rapper. You probably won't say much. He's a IT geek. He's in tenders. I'm not even sure. He's doing his thing, God. But I used to call them up and be like, yo, in a case, you guys want to chill. DJ called them up on a Monday. What you swine? When we start was sang bell. Usibiza ngomsomluko mfana unesibili. That was my only day off, because I was working at the mall at the time. And that's the only time I could find, and all I needed was to see where hip hop was going, because for me, when I found a community, I wanted to keep that community, and building outside of that community, because of how the beefs now happen naturally. Once you enter a certain bubble, you can't enter another bubble. Just enjoyed that time and space, without it was fun, because most people were either schooling or working, but with hip hop, kwabuya slow man, what a slow man feels now. Osiris. Yeah. I think even at that time, did he come back a year ago? Because I met even.
What was his hit song about?
Hit song.
Yeah, that loud song. You had to do it an advert with.
I mean,
Let's yada more ching.
Let's hear. Oh yeah.
Was that him?
No, wasn't it Ilan too? Who were the three guys? No man, you have to remind me. Psychomatic, Oceamatic. I mean, yeah, Psychomatic. Story, yes. Bad mood.
Yeah.
Bad mood. Wasn't that Bad Mood? Yeah, let's hear that.
Yeah, because I remember
Okay.
he used to jump on stage.
Yeah.
But he had crazy performance.
Like-
Slow man. I didn't remember in my poetry sessions.
What? Oh yeah. First person I saw on like an internet YouTube level was Slow level, because of Black Friday ciphers. When Uzagu, he was freestyling with Uzagu before Uzagu dropped the headlines, and that was 2-3 years before Uzagu dropped the headlines. So I was like, what? By the time I'm hearing this guy, I'm like, oh, this guy raps with, and he freestyle Slow was crazy. He could go. Anyways, in terms of talent, I found that guy incredible. I think my timelines are off, because like I've got war stories for days in terms of hip hop, man. Ngiyabona ukuthi excuse me, I need to but after that, after the whole working thing, I think I got into working, met a guy, the same mutual friend, Ustelo database. Anyways, met him, and still, Ufong Jalo, who's still leading the way. Because Ufong started working with Ustelo. And I was listening to his sound, and you because even the sounds we were listening to in hip hop were changing at the time. We went from listening to all copyright, we fight in the Tower of Babel, 3 MCs with 1 chord, kind of stuff. And then we found LZI, because baby girl, you got that glow, very, very far from a hood rat and not there. And that's when we found Oche Dilla, discovered those kind of sonics and raps. Be like, okay, so like this thing where you're lyrical, you can also make it sound cool. So we wanted to, Fonge was looking for a unique sound. I think that's what he's always been in search of, because he wanted to grow his artistry. Like Fong for me is the first rap artist. Like a lot of people are rappers. They could drop you a 16. Fong, even the way he freestyled was very unique to him. Like in terms of self-expression, this is why I say Fong as an artist, more than just a rapper. Self-expression, that guy, honed that, or took that from the ability to know rap as a culture, and he just wanted to express. I found that incredible. I remember bars from that guy. Like my favorite lines. And we met with Ustelo, and Ustelo approved. I got another approval. Of course, I got another approval. Oh, that's a nice guy. And we spent a lot of time. I spent a lot of time asking Ustelo a lot of questions. But one thing you will love about Ustelo is that he's a perfectionist, and he will go into. He'll do all the things that are done at the highest level. But we end in a bedroom here in PMB. And I was like, okay. And he put me on to different kinds of music, and when we started writing, and then we made music after music, and we just got better at making songs, because it was just a writing session, come through, hear a beat, write, but we never recorded because we were looking for the ultimate recording.
That's one thing I've always wondered about you. When do you record? When are we here? I've never heard loads of.
I've heard. I think I've heard a couple of verses go up on the antidote. I think we do have some verses. From Side to Blind.
I have verses here and there. Yeah, actually, I do.
And it happens to be one of the biggest tracks out of PMB.
What?
Yeah,
Sheesh,
there's this
nice.
one in Irons, I think with Brain.
Oh yeah.
It was kind of a big deal.
Oh, showcase! He gifted 4.
Yeah.
This is why my timelines are off, man. Because this was before even new style. Oh my gosh! Oh brain! Oh my gosh! Oh my gosh! Oh shucks.
Hey, no.
Yeah. Oh, brain is not going anywhere, man. Oh my gosh. In terms of hearing about the Durban scene, man, meeting people from outside. When you heard about Brain, and then you heard about Abdus, then you heard this guy worked with Abdus, because he did a production for Abdus as well, and a number of just Durban cats, and he won a beat battle at Tegwini year 2006 or somewhere around there. Exactly.
Because we are here, man.
the gems we have.
Before and after
Yeah.
the commercial and underground.
So if you wanted to be the guy, what no brain that time?
I mean, I don't think we were looking at it that way. We were looking at Uguti. Oh, this guy, you know, because when you say somebody's name, you're like, okay, this guy approves of Uguti. This guy can do the job. Yeah, boy. So you wanted the best beats. You wanted to slap. Yeah, boy. And you know who's got the most slapping bangers? I'm a bangers for gang. That's who you call. You call it Brain. And he had this EP that he released. Was it an EP? Yeah, I think it was an EP or an album. He released collaborating with all these guys, which had Stormville, Sapopai, Brain, from Pinky and the Brain. I was like, this guy is a character.
Because you know, when you mention a brain, I think Anjalo is someone like about Dr. Dre, like who influenced the culture around the cases. Because this is how
there's a guy I know the guy before he even rapped a bit. My seventh up was to push in the play to pray. Which OMC? Which OMC must have rap, you should rap. I was like surprised. This nigga say a rapper. Like what the finally What was that? No, that was like Gabo 2007.
The last years.
About those 3 years in bed.
Oh yeah.
Like 7, 8, 9.
Yeah.
Hip hop was popping in that.
Yeah,
it was popping.
And there were people who took it from that generation, but it started from 2006, I think. But even when you go back to, because Uputka Andile, Usakile is a poet, there's a group called EKOSS. Yes, Knowledge of Self Society. Yeah, those guys were more your Wu-Tang vibe, but they were poets mostly. They did the first poetry, the first largely organized by black youth. The first large poetry sessions. Art gallery. Yeah, well, they were the first to do things like that. Yeah. No, I just listened.
The mentality.
Yeah, showcase. Because I'm not gecko for these things. But the stories, when people would say, I would be like, wow, you guys have a history with this thing?
It's the same when people talk about Lentosa mentioning or samurai. I don't know the guys, but when people with that era that was the 90 in America it was the golden era
when music shall black bekula ngamakhanda
angazi kangekho I'm just saying. The only person Makshawi Black White Gola is simple. It's just I don't know. We don't talk. Man, he could be. I can't say.
I didn't like that guy.
No, facts.
Yeah, it's a fact. Would you like a guy who knows you are rapper Pongoli Mike?
Simple would rub you up the wrong way.
Yeah.
What you gonna do? Is the next question hanging there. Oh, of course.
So you have to stand up.
Gorilla Texas was about that.
Because meaning I am with my crew, with the Gorilla Tactics. It was the language.
In terms of?
You guys remember Zulu. And you are like, yes, it's a guy and all that stuff. And we fought, it's a fight, it's a physical fight.
I like this. I like
from
this.
From a museum, bra, so good. They shut down the Raiders performer. We had the crowd from the stands because the performer, the crowd, they came in J2. And then we got on the Veneke to our pretty loop street beats.
Those were too crazy, no. But yeah, with the song that Okulma Ngayo, it was my neighbor, because my neighbor, Phoenix. Yeah, Paul Phoenix. From Itech here. Just kidding. But yeah, Phoenix was my neighbor, and you know, like I could go over to his house. You know, you new kid, you want the closest place you can go, so you can still be comfortable but still meet people. Met him, and that's how I met Fong, because we used to stay at Fong's and just listen to tons of we listened to music at Phoenix's place. I won't discover these people. And Phoenix started a rap group called E Cadillacs, which consisted of Joe the MC, Vocat, and myself and Paul. So it's 4 guys in general. Started with a song called the Four Horsemen of the Apocalypse, and the Fong was featured in that one. That was our first recording. So like Fong is a feature in a lot of my beginnings in experiencing hip hop in Maritzburg. He did a lot of intros, or at least he was there for some things that I was a part of starting as well. So yeah, Gift of 4. We were going to record the EP. Poetic Thug Popo did the beats for them. Did the beats for the EP, but we never finished recording that project. But in terms of recording projects and shit, my favorite recording of what I feel is the most monumental project. It's my Illmatic. Is the recording slow no at the time, or silence is golden. Yeah. Oh my gosh, that was my favorite one. That's how he got, you know, then, because it was Yadu Malaya tape, I think, and then when you heard, because they joined up with one more fire guy, and then things exploded from there. It was a good time for just hip hop. We were looking for the perfect recording of everything. You know, he was a perfectionist when it came to that. He wanted the same level of recording that, you know, your overseas underground cats had. Or your Ninth Wonders, you know, those, he wanted that level of, you know, just musicianship, lyricism, everything had to be at that level. So it was nice to have like a new target to aspire to, and a new space to do something, because he was also just into business as a whole as well. So he'd explain, he'd break these things down, coming from like making a beat and then making a proper song and then selling that song. Yeah, boy, he'd break it down like that.
The whole structure.
Yeah, for him it was about, can we make a product that we can sell? And that's where my whole interest and love for, you know, the business of music started as well for me. And we were just spitballing mostly ideas, about bouncing them off. But I got to learn a lot, because with the research, he's a beast. It's a new database for nothing. Yeah, and, a year before we officially started the band, he invited me to a music thing. I can't even say it was a concert. It was a music thing. It was in town. I was like, okay, I can make it to town. Let me do that. Got there, and it was live bands and all this crazy stuff. I'm like, this is so white. Lapo, it's only black people playing instruments. It was the music school. Before I even knew it was a music school, I was like, this is incredible. I didn't even know Indenje existed in Pietermaritzburg. And they used to do a showcase of all the learners at the end of the year. Yeah, that's what it was. And the whole band, you know, just just be there going crazy, and I enjoyed that experience. And I met Andile from there. And then we were just people who didn't know each other at that time. So
At that time, when is there like any instrument you know how to play?
I'm not.
You're just a rapper.
I'm not concerned. No, my mind. Yo, was I even a rapper at that time? No, I mean, like in terms of how I saw myself, I had a problem. I would say, you know, as much as I'd done something so unique for such a long time. I think I listened to my own voice for such a long time. I didn't feel like I was a rapper in PMB. Well, I was a rapper in my head, but I didn't feel like we related a lot. I think people who were moving at the same pace with, because they changed with the Sonics as well, was Antidote. Well, that's one cat I know, but yeah, we were on the same vibe because we were listening to more or less the same sounds. But Niger, death certificate. Good times. Oh my gosh. Story for another day, man. But yeah, death certificate. Still dropped the hardest 16 bars at PMB till today for me, I believe. Yeah.
That's nice. That's cool.
Cheat. And so, like, I moved into a space where now the whole job thing, I was not vibing with that.
I feel you.
Yeah, I was like, I joined the space because of wanting to understand the idea of climbing a corporate ladder, what that looked like, what that felt like. I wanted to experience myself with in a practical space, like economically, you know, like education is an industry on its own, whereas applying those skills you get from there, that's a different industry as well. So I kind of skipped the whole academic thing and wanted to be practical about being a part of the economy. In other words, being unemployed.
And you didn't like
to see. Well, employment was I might say like I don't know how I feel about it. Well, it had to happen. It still has to happen. But it really gave me insight from all the conversations we were having about music as a business and how to sell a product. And working in, because I was at the mall.
Oh, I remember and then we spoke about that journey that you were on, trying to.
Oh shucks! Did I say that? What? That's crazy. I talk too much. Yeah.
When you're trying to educate people about music business, are you still on that journey,
Yes, I think because of how hard it was when we found each other and when we started, and the fact that there was no, like, my mom, Nakon, I guess you can say inspired when she said the sentence ukuthi no, uthi ufuna ukwenzani, yazi lento ufuna ukuyenza, ngikwazi ukwehla la emgaqweni ngiyobuza kube khona umuntu engizombuza ukuthi hayibo na ingane yami ifuna ukwenza lo, so kumele siyephi senze. And because there wasn't any space for that kind of where she could get that kind of it's like with school, it's practical, okay, get UKZN, get DUT. I can ask people, how can I assist my child, how can I support, where do I fall, and there wasn't those kind of structures. So he was going in a very different place. He was having very different experiences, and so Namiga had to charter my own path. And I did that, went back to Skere, was trying to do some school things, and that's when I was seeing the poetry sessions. Because I wasn't even familiar with Akonema poetry sessions every Friday. Apparently we were the only city every Friday when you find a poetry session. yabona nje what we do here. It is a like so like that's how rich with art we are. And so I attended those, and I saw him playing songs that I like. Redemption Song by Bob Marley, Nora Jones, don't know why. Those were just jams I liked fairly. And so, and he had poetry pieces as well. Although I wasn't too much, because I was still trying to find lyrics in my head.
Now at that time you hadn't recorded anything.
No.
So, but I'd already recorded verses, and you heard Kiffen letting you know that there's been a track. I was on Silence is Golden, Yaslo. I had already recorded with KD. Oh my gosh, like there's just these things.
KD Muplo Satan.
Yes.
Shout out.
Shout out to KD.
He put a lot of us on Gama Pizza.
Oh yeah, kumbulu kuluma ngalo awumosho.
KD wayengenasikhathi yazi ngangamazi nje ayidlula phela.
Typical producer.
Producer even outside. Yeah. So
he's also one of the guys who when you went to his studio,
worked very hard. When KD had a song playing on radio, I was never surprised. That guy worked super hard on
really
his production. I was like, who else? So I think now when I'm just going in and out of the library, because Ustado had given me beats as we parted ways, and I was putting together this Smolanyana EP. I was trying to figure out my enjoyment of all those things. Like the beats themselves, I was trying to figure out my enjoyment of them. I called it the Crown EP. Just about, because all I was thinking about was money. How do you get to money? What is money? That was what I was exploring. And apparently music, live performance, is where you get most of your money. And that's how the guitar comes in. So I approached Andile, and I was like, no, I've got this EP and I'm looking for a different sound. Because I wanted to see if an underground tape can have a commercial appeal. And for me, this was before Ulento's or Drake made it off of mixtapes even. I was already like trying to think about how do you do that, and so we played around this. We set a date on one of the Fridays. So with Askale Pansi, let's figure out if we can work, if we can gel. He came up with the strings and started humming something. Recorded it on a phone, kept it, went back home, scribbled some stuff on it, came back the next week. Yes. Came back the next week with a whole song, and we've been making one song ever since that day.
Scheduled for one song.
We'll be making the one song only.
Yeah, we went in for one song. I guess we're still doing that one song.
Nice. So when I'm a brother, the feds don't touch us on this guy. It's up all the time.
He mentioned the entire history of hip hop.
I've been very anxious in those way.
I am the rapper. The rapper.
Headship, the rapper. Oh, the rapper.
Headship.
AKA the history man.
So how do you get into the
chime in?
When I was going to get into the whole trio,
so a year before they were doing all that, I was hanging out, basic, just off of high school, hanging out. But I was still a kid. So I was there chilling by the same space now, corner where you find the poetry sessions. Yes, sir. It was on Chile Lapo, and I saw him just there. You know, when you're out looking for like-minded
That's where
people.
most people met. I'm a cat, I'm a
lot of artists. Yes.
Like bro, that time.
I want you to tell a story.
hey, bro. A lot of shit went down there. But hey.
Yeah, let me.
I see Koda.
What's the name? What I'm thinking, guys. I started singing Headship rapping in library.
Oh yeah. That's why like most people.
A lot of people have told me they've met us there. Or met other artists there, Juntao. People are still talking about people like Juntao back at home. Let's go there. Jeez.
But he's one of those niggas we'll keep on shit.
He's already released some stuff actually. It's even those links. I think that's the only thing he's not selling. Okay, nice. Yeah, no. Apparently, his stuff's like strong. Because I asked him for the analytics of the thing. You know, he was like, no, these people that, and I was like, okay, vibes.
Because he's been on like the streets of hip hop forever.
And he was a true like representative of the whole culture movement, hip hop at that time. Because if you could remember, why Hamani speak compared to you like from distance you watching it, for now, Papa take fun now.
So man, from the library.
So from the library, I saw him just off of vibe.
At that time, now you already playing something or
no.
What's next?
I'm not even trying to do anything. I didn't care. And this is coming from a privileged kid. My family is musical. I come from that type of family, but I really had my grounds not to care, because I could look any direction, everybody could sing. It was boring. So I kind of didn't do it, but did it at the same time. I grew up just.
So there was musical like Ndlela Yasisonto.
No. All types of ways. You know of Undivided Roots if you're from this town. Those guys are the oldest probably reggae band. They're still running. So those are cousins. And there's that side, and then there's my mom's side. My mom's side is mostly on the element of gospel will come with prayer with them, but the music will be mostly your white jams like Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young. You guys probably don't know those guys, but those guys are old from the 60s, guitarists. Another trio. I'm in love with the number because of, so I come from Lindani, so a bit of jazz, a bit of hip hop came out of that space. And then my brother, actually, my big brother, was more of the hip hop influence, but being a fan of Biggie himself. But this other brother of mine just so happens to be a fan of Biggie, so no coincidence. So far, I'm spotting none. Like I said, I've been a privileged kid when it comes to music, and a kid because I hadn't started when I met him. We spent a year just goofing off, but on a serious note. Like, I see you're a thinker type thing, but let's hang out for now with these guys. And then the following year, just before they met, 3 months prior to that, I lose the father on the cousin's side. So somehow, I don't know, I just picked up a guitar after that. You could say it's transferred cosmically, I don't know. I'm still not part of that. I'm doing this, if you get what I mean. So he passed on, and I'm mentioning him because he had an intention of going for this guitar anyway. But we were waiting for me to finish my matric, and like really, so just before, and then there was my chance right there. So you just but somehow when I before I met these guys and passed on, I felt like, okay, cool, let me actually do umculo.
Yeah.
Like I'm going through my gap year, I just did some things to respect abazali and stuff, when they tell you go to school. We are tunya basically. Like, beyond normalcy. That's some weird punishment right there, just for being a black kid. But I see Kola.
It's another story. Subjects in Sazon Camp. I'm glad because even my cameraman is a thinker.
You touched on that like crazy.
So we're still gonna keep a lokunja like mini content.
Because
slowly.
I want to from that conversation you were having. I want to add. There's a lot to talk about.
A lot. These niggas but ninja like
no thinkers.
Nah, we kids. We all just babies. Nah,
we listen to you.
Nah, it's cool, man. It's a typical quiet guy trait. He lets the space open up a little too. Like we actually
boundaries.
Mystery man, when you're the quiet guy.
You guys were late.
I've heard the last call you made. This guy is seriously pissed.
Thank you, bro. Because this is how punctuality otherwise. He relates. But I'm mentioning it because I feel safe in the space of brotherhood. And that's how I sort of gravitated towards these niggas the same way. So, picked up a guitar. This was as random as it sounds.
Yeah.
Picked up a guitar because my brother had one lying around. He's a great musician himself. Just doesn't want to show that. Well, for now. So I picked up his guitar.
How do you hide such a thing?
Privilege.
Let's go with that one.
Yeah,
Let's go with that one. And I was gonna go like way back in
That's the shortest way to it.
Yeah. So I picked up his guitar. And from there, I was already kind of familiar with how you hold a guitar. Because when he was doing his stuff, he'd ask me to hold a note to on like bass. So I'd F around with that. So that's a scary thing. So I'm mentioning it. Just holding a guitar and, forming a relationship with, okay, I'm about to be a guitar player. That's hella hard. That's a journey for years.
For me, when you say it like that, it does. Because, you come from a musical home. When you hold the guitar, when somebody instructs you to hold the guitar, you're going to be a player. It's automatic for you, so it is intimidating. Yes, I see. That's what's following. It.
Yeah, so it's like a stage fright. Really, people quit if they can't, take that leap. So I guess just out of bravery took that leap. Tried to teach myself guitar, and again, being a privileged kid, I went to my older brother, who's older than the one I'm talking about. Went to him. He's already like doing music on a professional level, but still undiscovered, if you could. So I went to him. He gave me basics. Well, these are your chords, these are your keys. This is how many notes you find in music. This is the structure. Drew some things down, a couple of shapes. Left me more like that. Trusted me like that. Let me put it like that, to be fair. And just like I took it like a stupid child. Just I'm questioning it everything. Took it, I embraced it. 2 weeks later, I was playing a song, which is actually unheard of, apparently. So 2 weeks later, I was playing that song.
Not someone else's song, your song. 2 weeks later.
No, somebody else's song. But I already had a song. Actually, I already had 3 songs.
Shit.
Just angenazi structure a normal. I was afraid to show or share that because it was It was weird. I felt at the time.
People say that. You'd be surprised. Said it is, but you only know how to rap compared to, but there's so many pockets in music.
You can't even play one music instrument.
But that one pocket contains a whole culture.
Yeah.
Which is one thing you can't say about funk.
Yeah.
You can't say about Kwaito. No one was like, as much as it cultured a lot of people, no one had their eyes on it as it did that, and was like instrumental, you know, making sure everybody. No, so I can't take away from hip hop. Hip hop raised me. While I was doing all that, the bravery came from hip hop. You know. The mindset, the everything. Just
and someone who doesn't understand hip hop wouldn't know that. Hip hop saved a lot of us, especially with the tongue and the mindset. It saved a lot of us.
There's this thing one said, the curious one, with hip hop, it's more like a consciousness. It's never something that's physical, any physical form.
Oh yeah.
So I just started playing, and then 2 weeks after I had my songs and had that one song to help me sort of become a musician. Because I had friends, when some of these friends were family members, I thought, let's start a band with these friends, or a musical group. So no one had the knowledge of instruments at the time amongst those four of us. And I was the furthest with that one song, you know. So I took it, you know, to myself to teach what I have to my brothers. And therefore, so I taught those two guys guitars, and then helped the drummer drum.
So familiar on the drum?
Yeah, man, just instruments. I like instruments because
it's in the blood.
Yeah, it's a privilege, and yeah, just mentioning that privilege is something I learned from hip hop at the same time. So that band started, and then I already knew of, because I had spent that year prior to that with this guy, I already knew of the platform Library. So I worked towards that band that I just formulated to come and perform Library. 2 members made it. So 3 in total. We brought guitars, just guitars, and that's the first time I believe he saw me there on stage. That was my first performance too, ever. So did that with these guys. It was enough to impress a guy who had studied music for 4 years prior to, and my guitar skills were considered skills. Shocker.
It's all about skills.
So and then he approached me. We spoke about what the 2 of them are doing. To my surprise, he was the other second one in those 2. So it was great to find out he's also a musician a year later. I could be petty about that, but so Rich could have taught me how to rap. Think about it. But actually, he already has done his job now. So so after that, we spoke about how I could be part of that band, and because of how I spoke about the band I was in, about the weight, the drive, difference, the mindset was too intense to continue with those guys at the time. So I needed something a little more fast paced. So I spoke to the guys. We put everything onto the table. We spoke about how serious we want this, and obviously. So I stepped out to step in here, which felt more like home, because the geek I was about music, the shit I liked, about the fact that I was raised from that family, knew that many songs, it felt like they could relate. So that's the only place we could relate, it's great. And then everything else was just work. As the other beautiful thing is that we all didn't just want to do music and stop there.
So when is this year in Shanghai now?
This is 2013 now. So it starts 3 months after I start. Then I saw them. I think they already had a month in.
So now are you vocal? No, you just instrumental.
That's the other thing I discovered when I got to this band. So first thing I did or was told to do when I got here, being a school child and all that, I'm out there when I'm first doing like Lezela, and niggas want to do music as much as I want to do music, but I don't know about music as much as I wanted to reveal, to be honest. Also there's also that part, because as time went on I discovered I knew some things. Who knew? Yeah, but so they told me, okay, it was like, now that you're part of the band, your first task is to write a verse and sing. And 3 days later, just like I had to, I felt, because I owed this shit to myself. I had just chosen music, right? So I did that. Yeah. Came back, they liked my verse. That was enough for me. So, and after that, it's just been following the instructions I set myself to follow since then, which is do music like this.
Because when I came back, like PMB Ganjalo, and then we went to our first backyard art session. I was thinking, you guys, you're gonna pull like average sound, it's a band from PMB, and then figure out I'm listening.
No, I mean, it's a good like perspective. I mean, small villages, that becomes the mentality. We think what we have is small. So like I understand where you're coming from.
That's it, yo. It sounded like so different in your face, like something I've never heard before. Like even those how you guys like a chemistry with your sound. It's like it's super like dope. And I answered my question about the whole thing, Ganjalo, since you said Ganjalo. It's been like 2013 Ganjalo, you started, and you come from a generation of musician. Well, that's kind of
cheat codes for days.
But it's gonna make sense.
So you guys been jamming just since 2013?
Yeah, like the motto became Uguti, live performance was the best way to make money in music, so we wanted to get great at that. So for the first 6 months, what we did was rehearse. First we created a playlist of songs, so for a performance to get ready when we need to go on into a stage.
A 3-hour performance.
Oh yes, that's how much. Yeah. Very ambitious. Very ambitious.
Because our former manager told us about another group, another group that had 40 songs? 40 or 30 songs not released. And this is also inclusive of an album they had. So those guys released an album and then also had like stash chilling of other albums. So I wasn't going to take it.
So we spent 6 months creating original music and Sifaka Makava as well, in between to like the whole form of entertainment. We were creating a production. Already because of the way we thought about it, or we wanted to look at it. For me, that was an amazing experience, and at the same time while improving the business model, because we added a lady as part of the ensemble as well. There were all those things, because product, right? Create a good product, sell it. That's what we were looking at this day. I mean, we were artists about it, because lineage, academics.
I wrote a song about change, but nobody wanna hear me. And that's the thing about change, right? That's the thing about change, man. Nobody wanna hear me. I wrote a song about change.
I wrote a song about change, but nobody wanna hear me. And that's the thing about change, right? That's the thing about change, man. Nobody wanna hear me. Not every day, no job, no problem. It's okay, well, I'll smoke weed and go rob. If they still got the power, I guess I won't stop. High school dropout, you know this member. Even luxury culture calls me home defender. I'm too cool for school, all I need is a tender. BEE is for who you to pick to remember. Hey, this is the blue, black, red, white, yellow, and green. In South Africa, son, there's a lot to be seen. Like my war parties in my parliament for politics. Makes me need a polygram and ask about my promises. The white protest, but the black go strike. They tryna beat the inflation and petrol hype. They fuck the blue collar cause I'm blue overall. I'm part of the we want it all. Them shop stores, of course. Lift yours, this is coming from my hip-hop core. Hey yo, lift shop stores, of course. Till we lift up yours, this is coming from my hip-hop. Hey yo, in frustration, different situations. Imagination's all we have, right? And we are on the ground, still cats up on the microphone, screaming out, fuck the world. Hey yo, mad frustration, different situations. Imagination's all we have, right? And we are on the ground, still cats up on the microphone, screaming out, fuck the world. Somehow my name's to blame, the things that we need to change all stay the same. I want me people to be fat, black and lovely. But every time I beat my own, they throw the back. They say I'm whack and I dictate my country while they can advance and grab all the cash. They took the motherland and then fucked her in the ass. You think my ancestors were uncivilized and barbaric when you stole the whole country and you didn't want to share it? Maybe I just didn't want to hear it. Am I more or less on point, or did I get it all wrong? I'll know when a lot of people never get to hear this song. Hey yo, I know when we never get enough. Yo, I wrote a song about change. I wrote a song about change, but nobody wanna hear me. And that's the thing about change, right? That's the thing about change, man. Nobody wanna hear me. I wrote a song about change. I wrote a song about change, but nobody wanna hear me. And that's the thing about change, right? That's the thing about change, man. Nobody wanna hear me. Hey yo, mad frustration, different situations. Imagination's all we have, right? And we are on the ground, but still cats up on the microphone, screaming out for the world. Hey yo, mad frustration, different situations. Imagination's all we have.